Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Knitting for Baby. Thank you for watching and thank you for subscribing. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to knit this little hat for a newborn baby up to 3 months old. It's very easy. You can also make it bigger for 3 to 6 month size. In the same tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make it smaller like this one or bigger. Okay, so let's get started and thank you for watching. Okay, to begin, I'll be using these 2.5mm knitting needles, and today I'm using this number 3 baby yarn. You can also use any DK weight yarn. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we need to cast on our stitches. We need to cast on a total of 67 stitches. Now, to make this little hat here for 3 to 6 months, I went ahead and cast on 67 stitches, but I used 3mm knitting needles. So if you want to make it bigger, use 3mm knitting needles, and that'll be for 3 to 6 months. So here, to begin, the first thing we need to do is we need to cast on our stitches like I said. So the first thing is I'm going to wrap my yarn around about 20 times on both needles. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now the method that I'm going to use to cast on my stitches is the long tail cast on. You can use any other method. So here, I have enough yarn for 20 stitches. I need 67, so I'm going to double it up. That's 40. Double it up again. That's 60. I need 67, so I'm going to double it up again. So this is enough for about 80 stitches. I'm just going to leave it like this, and I'm going to make a slip knot here like this. Now this is coming from our long tail, and this here is coming from my skein. So we're going to insert both needles like this, and now we're going to open the yarn like this, and we're going to go from left to right, and we're going to grab a loop like this. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. You're going to continue like this until you have 67 stitches. So I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished casting on my stitches. I have a total of 67 stitches, and this is all the yarn that I had left. So here I'm going to pull carefully one of the needles out like this, and now we're going to knit all of the stitches, but first I'm going to tie a little knot here so that this stitch here is a bit more secured. Perfect. So now, beginning with the first stitch in this first row, I am going to knit the first stitch. But going forward, the first stitch and the last are going to be our border stitches, so we are always going to slip the first stitch and purl the last, except for this first row where I am going to knit the first stitch. Now we're going to knit like this each one of our stitches to the last one. The last one, remember, we are going to purl. So continue for this first row where you knit each one of the stitches, and I will meet you at the end to show you how to finish the first row and then start the second row. I'm here at the end of this first row. The last stitch we are going to purl, so just bring your yarn in front and purl like this. Now from here on, we're going to do the same thing for a total of 5 rows. You're going to knit each one of the stitches except for your border stitches. You're going to slip the first stitch and then purl the last. So here, to start you off on the second row, you are going to slip the first stitch like this, and then you're going to knit each one of the stitches to the end where the last stitch you are going to purl. And that's all we're going to do for a total of 5 rows. So continue like this, and I will meet you once we have 5 rows to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I went ahead and did 5 rows, and this is what it looks like. Now for this little hat, I did 9 rows. So if you want to go ahead and add more rows, you can. The only difference is that once we start our pattern, we are going to have less pattern repeats than I am going to have for this little hat. So it's okay. You can do it either way. This one here, I did a total of 7 pattern repeats. This one, I'm thinking I'm going to do about 9, but we'll see. Now, the stitch multiple to this pattern is 7 plus 2 plus 2, and you have to repeat 4 rows to complete the pattern. So we're going to start with the first row. So here we're going to slip the first stitch. We are going to purl 2. Now, the next 5 stitches we are going to knit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next 2 we are going to purl. 1, 2. The next 5, knit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Purl 2. 1, 2, and knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, purl 2. Now continue like this to the end of the row. Now you're going to finish here at the end with 3 purl stitches. So I'll meet you here at the end to show you how we're going to finish this first row and then start on your second row. Okay, I'm here at the end of this first row. Now here we have the last 3 stitches. We are going to purl 3. The last one we always purl. Okay, now for the second row to our pattern, you're going to turn. You're going to slip the first stitch like this. And then we're going to knit 2. 1, 2, and then purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Knit 2. 1, 2, purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then knit 2. Continue like this to the end of this row. I'll meet you at the end of this second row to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this second row. We have the last 3 stitches. So knit 2 and purl the last. Always, always purl the last stitch. Now turn for the third row, and this is where we're going to change our pattern. I'd say that this is the hardest, but really it's not that hard at all. So for the third row, what you're going to do is you're going to slip the first stitch and you're going to purl 2. 1, 2. Now into these next 5 stitches, this is what you're going to do. You're going to knit 2 together like this. Yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip the first stitch to your working needle, knit the next stitch. Now the stitch that you slipped, pass it over the stitch that you just knit. And that's how you're going to work the 5 stitches in the middle. Again, purl 2, and then we have the next 5 stitches, 2, 4, 5. Now you're going to knit 2 together, yarn over, knit the third stitch, yarn over, slip the 4th stitch, and knit the 5th stitch. Now pass the 4th stitch over the 5th stitch, and that's your second group of 5. Now again, purl 2, and we have the next 5 stitches. So 1 and 2, you are going to knit 2 together, yarn over. The third one you're going to knit, yarn over, slip the next stitch, knit the last stitch, pass the stitch that you slipped over, and that's all you're going to do. So let me show you again. Purl 2. We have the next 5 stitches, so the first and the second you're going to knit 2 together, yarn over, knit the next stitch, yarn over, slip the next stitch, knit the last stitch, pass the stitch that you slipped over the last stitch. That's all you're going to do. That's what it looks like. Don't forget to yarn over and then repeat. This is how I'm going to continue for this third row. You're going to purl 2, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip the next stitch, knit the last stitch, pass the stitch that you slipped over the last stitch that you just knit, and that's all. So continue like this to the end of this third row. Okay, I'm here at the end of this third row. Now to finish, I have my last 3 stitches. We are going to purl 2, actually we're going to purl 3, because the last one we always purl. That's how we finish the third row. Now the fourth row here, we're going to turn. This fourth row will complete the first repeat. So we are going to slip the first stitch, you are going to knit 2, and then purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Knit 2, 1, 2, and then purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how you're going to continue for this fourth row. You're going to knit 2 and then purl 5. Continue to the end of this fourth row. I'm here at the end of this fourth row. We have the last 3 stitches. You are going to knit 2 and purl the last stitch. And this completes your first repeat. And as you can see on the right side right here, this is the first motif right there. Okay, and that's how we're going to continue from here on, just repeating these 4 rows. So here we're going to start again. We're going to repeat your first row where you slip the first stitch, you purl 2, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then purl 2, knit 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, purl 2, and so on. Continue like this for this first row again, where you purl 2 and knit 5. I'll meet you at the end to show you what we need to do next. I'm going to show you one more motif, or one more repeat, where we do 4 rows. This would be the first row. I'm here at the end of this first row. This is where we purl 2 and then knit 5. I have my last 3 stitches, so we're going to purl 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so this would be the first row to our second motif. We're right here right now. And then we're going to now go to the second row where you turn and you're going to slip the first stitch and you're going to knit 2, and then purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Knit 2, 1, 2, purl 5. Continue like this to this second row, and I will meet you at the end to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of the second row to our second repeat. So we have the last 3 stitches. You are going to knit 2 and always purl the last stitch. And that's the second row. Now for the third row, you are going to slip the first stitch, purl 2, 1, 2, and then we have the next 5 stitches. For the first and the second, you are going to knit 2 together, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit the third stitch, yarn over, slip the 4th stitch, and then knit the 5th stitch. Now pass the stitch that you slipped over the last stitch. Now purl 2, 1, 2, and then knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip 1, knit 1, slip the stitch that you slipped over the stitch that you just knit. And that's all we're going to do. Let me show you again. Purl 2, 1, 2, and then we have the next 5 stitches. You're going to knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip 1, knit 1. Pass the stitch that you slipped over the last stitch. And then that's all you're going to do. Make sure that you always have these 5 stitches, 2, 4, 5, like this. Now continue for this third row and I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the third row to our second repeat. We have the last 3 stitches. You are going to purl 3. Always the last stitch you purl. Now for the 4th row to our second repeat, you are going to slip the first stitch, knit 2, and then purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Knit 2, purl 5. Continue to the end of this 4th row. I'll meet you there. I'm here at the end of this 4th row to our second repeat. Here we have the last 3 stitches. You are going to knit 2 and purl the last stitch. And this completes our second repeat. This here, the second one, and that's what it looks like. It's absolutely beautiful. Look at that. And in my opinion, I think it's very easy. All you do is just repeat those 4 rows. Now from here on, this is all you're going to do. You're going to repeat these 4 rows, and then we're going to continue for the rest of the hat. Now for this one here, like I said, I did 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but then I did more rows here for this part. I forgot to mention when we started here that you could change color once we started the first row to our repeat, but I'm sure you can do that part yourself. So I'm just going to continue for the rest of the hat, just repeating these last 4 rows. I'm thinking I'm going to do about 9 here, so we'll see. Just continue watching and I'll let you know exactly how many rows I'm going to do. Okay, I did a total of 8 repeats. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Now I'm about to start the 9th. I'm only going to do 2 rows because then we're going to start to reduce. So here I'm just going to slip the first stitch, purl 2, and then knit 5. Purl 2. That's how you're going to continue for this row. Then you are going to turn, slip the first stitch, knit 2 stitches, and then purl 5, and then continue to the end here. Here at the end, we're going to make 1 reduction. So finish this row and then finish the next one, and I'll meet you right here 3 stitches before we finish that last row to show you a reduction that we need to do here. I need to have a total of 66 stitches before I can continue. So I'll meet you at the end of that row. Okay, I'm here at the end of that second row. This is where we knit 2 and then purled 5. I'm at the end here. I have 3 stitches left. So these 2 stitches here, I am going to knit 2 together, and then I'm going to purl the last. And that's how we finish this last row. Now, this part here is done. This is going to be the front. So now we need to do the back, and we're going to work our reductions all around. So as you notice, I have stitch markers, but before, let me give you the measurements. It's measuring from here up to here. It's measuring about 10 centimeters, which is about 4 inches. So now in this first row of reduction, we're going to place our stitch markers first. So I have a total of 66 stitches now because we reduced 1 here before we finished that row. So we have 66 stitches. We have our border stitches, which is 1 and 2, and then right in between we have then 64 stitches. Now what I did was I divided 64 by 8, and that's what I have here as far as my stitch marker. So here at the beginning I have 9 stitches, including the border stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then in between each one of these stitch markers, I have 8 stitches. And then here at the end, I have 9 as well, because I have my last stitch here as my border stitch. So to do the reductions, this is how we're going to work this row. We're going to knit up to the last 2 stitches before the stitch marker, and then we're going to knit 2 together. So let me show you. Here at the beginning, we're going to slip the first stitch, and then we're going to knit 6. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. So we're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we have these 2 stitches here, so we are going to knit 2 together. I like to push the stitches down like this, so that helps open up the stitches, so it's easier to knit 2 together. Now we're going to pass the stitch marker, and again I'm going to knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we have the 2 stitches before the stitch marker. Open that stitch and then knit 2 together. And then again, pass your stitch marker, and then again knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then the 2 stitches before the stitch marker, knit 2 together. And that's all we're going to do to the end of this row. So continue, and I'll meet you here at the end to show you how we're going to finish this first row. I'm here at the end of this first row of reduction. We're going to pass the stitch marker, and then I have my last 9 stitches. So I am going to knit 7. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, actually I'm going to knit 6. I'm sorry. Knit 6, and then we're going to knit 2 together. And then purl the last stitch. Okay, So knit 6, knit 2 together, and then purl the last stitch for the last section here. Now turn. Now in this row we're going to slip the first stitch and we're going to purl across. We're not going to reduce when we're on the back side. We're only going to reduce when we're on the right side. So purl across for this second row. Continue and I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of this second row. This is where we purled every stitch to the end. Now for the third row, I am going to reduce. Now we're going to knit up to the last 2 stitches. So beginning here, we're going to slip the first stitch and we're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to knit 2 together. Pass your stitch marker and then again knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 2 stitches before the stitch marker you knit 2 together. And that's all we're going to do for this third row, and then from here on that's what you're going to do. You're going to finish this row here at the end. Don't forget to knit 2 together right here. 3 stitches before you finish. These 2 you're going to knit 2 together and then purl the last. Then you're going to turn and then purl across, and then for the 4th row reduction you're going to knit 4 and then knit 2 together, and so on. You're going to continue until we have maybe 1 or 2 stitches left in between each one of the stitch markers. The important thing here is that you always knit 2 together before the stitch marker, and then here at the end don't forget to also do it at the end. Okay, so continue and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. Okay, I have 18 stitches and I have 2 stitches in between each stitch marker. So what we're going to do here is, for this last row of reduction, you're going to slip the first stitch, then you are going to knit 2 together. So knit 2 together, remove your stitch marker, knit 2 together, remove your stitch marker, knit 2 together, and so on. This is all I'm going to do for this last row of reduction. You're just going to knit 2 together. Here at the end you're going to knit 2 together and then purl the last, turn, and then purl across. I'll meet you at the end of that last row. Okay, I have a total of 10 stitches, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Now I'm going to reduce for 1 more row. I had mentioned that the last row was going to be my last row of reduction, but no, I have too many stitches here and I want this to be nice and neat at the end once we close. So slip the first stitch, then you're just going to knit 2 together across. Then again knit 2 together, and so on. So continue for this row where you knit 2 together to the end, and then the last stitch you're going to purl, turn, and then purl across. I'll meet you at the end of that row. Okay, I finished my last row of reduction, then I purled, and I'm here at the end of that row. I have a total of 6 stitches. So now what I've done is I've cut my yarn. So with my needle here I'm going to pass my yarn through here, and we're going to remove these stitches that we have left. So just remove them. Now for this little hat here, I've closed my hat when I had 10 stitches. I didn't do this last row here, so you can do the same. Perfect. Now we're going to pass our yarn through these stitches, hold on to this loop here at the end like this, pull, and then insert your needle through that loop here. Pull, and that closes the stitches. Now you can go around one more time and do the same thing. Just make a little knot. And then again, pull. And that's all you need to do to close the little hat. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to close up to about here. So to do this, we're going to go along the very edge, row by row, and right along the very edge, right here we have these stitches along the very edge. So you're just going to insert your needle right there. Make sure you find right there. And then you're going to go from left to right, just like I'm doing here. So like this, along the very edge. And then you find the next row right here. And there's that little stitch right in the middle between the rows. Just go there and then find the next one. Make sure that each row corresponds with each side, like this. And that's all we're going to do. So continue, and I'll meet you right about here. I'd say right about here to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished closing this part here up to about here. This is where we did our last repeat. So let me measure this for you. This is going to be about 5 centimeters, which is about 2 inches. That's how much I closed. Now here we're going to just make a little knot here to reinforce these last 2 stitches, so that this part here doesn't come open once we do the last part here. I think that'll work. Perfect. And then we can just cut our yarn and then hide our ends. So now here what we're going to do is we're going to do this I-cord around the back. Now you can also just pick up stitches around this part here for each one of the rows that you see here, and then do maybe a couple rows of knit 1, purl 1. That will also work fine, but I'm going to show you this here. It's very easy, it's not difficult at all, so I know you all are going to be able to do it. The only thing that we need are these double pointed needles. I couldn't find my 2.5 double pointed needles here. These are 2.75, not much of a difference, so we're going to use these here. So if you have 2.5, then go ahead and use those, but I'm going to use these that are slightly bigger. So the first thing that we need to do is make a loop here like this. I don't know, something, leave about that much. We need to cast on about 4 stitches only. So insert both needles through this loop here, and we're going to cast on 4 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to knit 4 here. You knit the first stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now push your needle, and then you're going to knit 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Push your needle, and again knit 4, and this is what creates your I-cord. And we're going to do this till, I don't know, it's about 24 centimeters or so, or however long you want your I-cord to be. Push your needle, and then again repeat, knit 4. So continue like this until you have the size that you want your cord to be. This, I think I did mine, let's see, I think there were, how many inches? It's about 7.5 inches or so. And then we're going to do this part after we have this part here done. So continue, finish your I-cord, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished making my cord. What we're going to do here is we're going to knit 3. One, 2, 3. Now, slip the 4th stitch without knitting, like this. Now, we're going to go here to the inside. Insert your needle right here into this very corner stitch. That's the first stitch right there. Now, you're going to grab a loop like this, bring it through the front. Now, this first one is going to be a little hard, but just pull a little loop here. You can use a crochet hook, but I think I'm going to be able to do it. There, perfect. So now I have 5 loops. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pass the stitch that we slipped, which was the 4th one, over this stitch that I just pulled. Like this. And now we're attached. Now pull on your thread here, push your needles, and now we're going to repeat the same thing. You are going to knit 3 and slip the 4th one. 1, 2, 3. Slip the 4th one, insert your needle into the next stitch right here, grab a loop. Now pass the stitch that you slipped over the stitch that we just pulled, like this. Now we have 4 stitches. Again, push your needle, knit 3, 1, 2, 3, slip the 4th stitch, insert your needle into the next stitch, grab a loop. Now these stitches that we're going to pull, we're going to go along the very edge. Now we're going to pass the stitch that we slipped over this stitch, over the last one, like this. Push your needle again, knit 3 and slip the 4th stitch. 1, 2, 3, slip the 4th stitch, insert your needle into the next stitch, okay, and then pass the stitch that you slipped over this last stitch, like this. Push your needle and repeat. And this is all we're going to do all around the back part of the baby bonnet. Knit 3, slip the last stitch, insert your needle into the next row, grab a loop, and then pass the stitch that you slipped over the last stitch. And this is all we're going to do, and that's what it looks like. And this is what it looks like from the right side. Okay, so continue like this all around. Here in the center, you may need to do maybe 2 or 3 stitches, like maybe 1 here in the center and then to the side. So that this part here looks nice. And then you're going to continue to this other side. I'll meet you here at the end to show you the finished baby bonnet. Okay, I'm here at this other end. This is what it looks like. So now we're going to continue and do the other cord. So all you're going to do here is you're going to knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Push your needle, and then again knit 4. So you're going to continue with your I-cord so that it measures the same as the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll come back and show you the finished baby bonnet. But that's what it looks like. Okay, I finished my I-cord. So here at the end, what we're going to do is we're going to need a needle here. I've already cut my yarn. So just pass your yarn through this needle, and we're going to remove these stitches like this. pass the stitches like this, and then here at the end pass it through this last loop again, and then we're going to pull, and that's going to close and create a little knot there. So now all you need to do is just insert your needle here through the inside and push your needle right about there, pull this yarn, and this here is done. Just pull on this and then cut whatever yarn remains up here. And that's all we need to do. And there it is. So this little hat is done. That's what it looks like. Look how beautiful that is. Absolutely gorgeous. And in my opinion, I think it wasn't too hard to make. So let me try it on my little model here. Now this baby doll head circumference is 0 to 3 months. So we're going to put it on him, and look at that. It's gorgeous. That's what it looks like. There it is. So this little hat here is 0 to 3 months size. This one here, like I said, was 3 to 6 months. And there it is. Now let me try it on a newborn baby doll. This one here, this would be, her head circumference is about 13 inches, which is about a newborn head size. And that's what it looks like. So this little hat fits perfect on a newborn baby. This stitch here is a bit stretchy, so that's why it also fits on a bigger head, the 0 to 3 month size. And there it is. Okay, so this completes this tutorial. That's what it looks like. So I hope you like it. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Until next time.